And so yesterday, if you haven't checked out yet, the video is already put on the PowerPoint slides. So it's the same PowerPoint slides. You can scan the QR code at the lower right corner using your cell phone, or you can go to the URL. And so the video is here. And after today, I will also update the video, the link here. So make sure that you check the video if you have any problem. Also, I think yesterday, some of you were having trouble installing leafmap. And so if you're still having issues, you can send the question on the WeChat. So upper right corner here, you can scan the QR code to join the WeChat group, and hopefully I'll be able to help you out and make sure that you can install the leafmap on your computer. But the bottom line is that if you're having issue, if you are setting up the software on your local computer, you can go to the list page here and make sure you can check out the second one. So the second one is the one that you can utilize if you have the internet browser, but you might need to make sure that you can connect to the Google services. So you might need to use 科学上网 to access the website. So again, I'm going to show you here. Just go to the link. Then you should be able to open the web page. And today I want to go through in more details how to use a leaf map. So it's kind of an interactive mapping. As you can see right now, it's already open. So it only takes you maybe 10-20 seconds. Then you should be able to load the notebook. And so for those of you who already install the packages on your computer, then you can use your local computer. For those of you who could not install, you can just use this link so you can follow through. So next, I'm going to show you here how to do. How can I post this one here? So we are going to use the website, the leaf map, and you can click the link here to go to, I think, the next page. So this one, you can click the link to go to the GitHub web page. You can look at here, go to the GitHub repository. So from here, you should be able to see all the source code for the package. And if you want to learn more about the package, you can look at the source code if you want. So all the source code are within the leaf map directory. So you should be able to see the source code here for the entire package. You can click individual ones. So most of the source code for the main module is within this here. And if you scroll down, right now it's not many lines. I think it's more than just a couple thousand lines of code. So you can look at this is basically one module, the main one for the package, but there are also a lot more in other modules. So let me quickly show you here. For example, for the common one, there are also a lot of functions within the package. So if you scroll down, you can look at the source code. Anyway, so for those of you who just want to use the package, you don't need to look into the source code. And so next, I'm going to show you how you can get some help documentation. You can also, for example, look at the package. For example, you can see how many people have contributed to the package and also how many people have used this one. And if you want, you can click to see who contributed to the package. For those of you who would like to contribute the package, you're also welcome. So if you know how to do the coding, if you have some specific function you want to add, you're welcome to submit a pull request to contribute to the package. So next, I'm going to introduce the documentation. So you can go to the upper right corner here and then click the link. So there's a leafmap.org. So if you click the link, it should take you to the web page. So the website have all the essential documentation. And I'm going to go through here some of the items. So make sure that you, if you need help, if you want to look into more details of the package, you can go to this website. So leafmap.org. And then, so this is the main web. There's an animation here at the bottom. You can check it out. And also some of the key features. But I want to show you, for example, on the left side here, installation. We already went through this one yesterday. So we use this one to install the package. Some of you will have trouble, I think the last line here to install this one. So if you could not execute the last line, you can also try this one. So directly just use a pip install. You should also be able to, I think this one might be easier to install on your computer. Anyway, if you're having issues, just send the questions in the WeChat group, and hopefully I'll be able to help you out. The next one is how to get started. So there are some of the common ones that here they can utilize. And so the next, I'm going to show you how to actually to get all the notebook examples. On the left side here, you can look at the tutorials. So this is the page that you can look at all the notebook examples that I have developed. And you can see some of, I think the first three here, you can also look at the video, the YouTube video, also the GF animation, usually 20, 30 seconds. So if you don't have time for the full video, you can watch the animation. And then also you have the Jupyter notebook. So all the notebook examples, you can just download the notebook example. So if you go, you can just click the link, open each individual one. So from here, you will see these maps are all interactive. So one way you can also directly open, if you click the icon here, you can open this one in Google Colab, or you can also open in Binder. So either one is fine. You can just right click and then open. You should be able to see this one. It might take a couple seconds to actually to open the link. But if you want to open all the notebook examples all at once, you need to go to the home page. So the home page also have these icons in here. You can click, you will open all the notebook examples. If you just on a specific one, it will just open the notebook just for that specific example. So next, I'm going to show you how to actually to get all the notebook examples to computer. As I mentioned yesterday, so if you go to the GitHub repository, you can either download the repository as a zip file to your computer, or you can just use Git. So if you already installed Git on your computer, you can use this one to clone the repository to your computer. And yesterday we already did it. So I already cloned the repository. Again, if you don't know how to do that, right click and then use Git base. So if you Git base here, I'm going to show you one more time how you do that. So, and then Git space clone and just right click paste. Then just hit enter. You should be able to clone the repository to your computer. And so this is the one that we cloned yesterday. And now you can, for example, you can just open in Visual Studio Code. So this is how I traditionally, how I do the coding, how I develop the package, mostly just using the Visual Studio Code. So I can just open here. And then once it's open, you will see all the files in here. But the good thing about using Git is that you can get the update. So you don't have to download the entire repository every time. So let me show you here in Visual Studio Code how you can pull the latest changes. For example, if you see from the GitHub repository here, right? If you click how many commits, so the commit basically is how many times I push the changes to GitHub. And so since yesterday, after the workshop, I make some changes to the repository, and those changes might not be on this computer yet. And so one thing you can do is to go to the left side here, and if you want, let me here, Control L, right? So if you open this one here, the lower left corner, right? So lower left corner here, if you click somewhere here, these three icons, if you click here and then go to the terminal. So from the terminal here, you can type any terminal command. It's the same as you use in here, use the Git base. So it basically, Git right now is already integrated into the Visual Studio Code. So you don't need this one anymore. But if you want, you can also do that. So you can just type, for example, Git status. It's going to show you, for example, if do you make any changes to your repository, or it also shows you, for example, your branch is behind by 2 commits and can be fast forward. So that means right now, local copy, the copy of this repository on your computer is behind the remote repository on GitHub. So you can basically pull the changes. What you can do here is to, in Visual Studio Code, you can just Git and then space, full, and just hit enter. It's going to get all the changes to your computer. And so from here, you will be able to see, for example, how many files have been changed and which one has been changed, how many lines has been added, how many lines have been deleted, something like that. So highly recommend that you to get familiar with Git. Is going to make your life much easier if you get used to that. So it's very, very powerful. And so anyway, don't worry about it too much. If you cannot follow, you can watch the video later, but this is just something that you might want to use. But even if you cannot follow, it doesn't affect what we're going to do later. So you can always go to here, just download as a zip file and then unzip the file on your computer. Okay, so next, let me go back to the website here to show you a few more things on the web page that you might want to look into. So let me push this one here. Oop. So on the left here, besides the tutorial, you can also look at the API reference. So this is the one that if you want to see how many functions are within the package, this is where you can look into that. So for example, after you click the API reference, and then you can click any module. So there are multiple modules within the package. So each module has a specific set of functions for specific purposes. So if I click, for example, the leaf map, and on the right here, you can see all the functions within that package. For example, this function, this module has a map class, and the map class has all the functions. I'm going to show you later how to use some of those functions. But if you are interested in specific function, you can click the link. And so here, it will show you all the parameters, what you need to provide when you call the function. You can also look at the source code. So if you click the drop-down list in here, you'll be able to see the source code for each individual function. And this might be very helpful for some of you if you run into any errors for that function, or if you will just simply want to learn how that function was developed. This is provide you a good way to learn about the package. You can click any function, for example, how to add Geopandas data frame to the map, right? So you can click here, you can look at all the parameters. We'll look into this later, but this is how you can look at all the source code. Some of the functions might be pretty simple, might be just a couple of lines, and some of those might be pretty complicated. So for example, this might be more than 100 lines of code just for one single function. But my goal is actually to develop these functions and to make life easier for other people. So you just need to call the function. You don't need to write 100 lines of code or 200 lines of code. You can look into other modules if you want, but every module has some function that you can call, and we're going to look into that shortly. So the last one here I'm going to show you is the notebook. So right now I have 24 notebooks for this package. It's going to continue to add more and more, but right now you can click here each individual one, or you can click the tutorial on the left side. It's going to show you all the notebook examples on one single page. So you can click individual one. Again, you can click the icon to open in Google Colab, and you can also open in Binder. So this is the web page that you can explore. And next, I'm going to show you step by step how to get started, how to use those notebook examples, and also how to use Whitebox so that you can do some geospatial analysis using the browser without having to install some commercial software on your computer. Okay, so next, let's open Anaconda Prompt, right? So just to start from scratch, go to the Start menu, and then open Anaconda Prompt. And again, just like what we did yesterday, first you need to get into the Conda environment. So Conda activate Geo. So this is the environment that we created yesterday. And then just type Jupyter. Jupyter space notebook. It's going to open the Jupyter notebook on your browser. And then we can start going through some of the examples. I'm going to go through one by one. So make sure that you can, all the notebook examples are already on the website. You can download them if you want. So once it's open, you can navigate to the directory. So we put all the stuff under the downloads directory. So you click and then get into here, the leaf map, right? and then the examples, notebooks, right? So you will see all the notebook examples directly within here. It's the same as the one when you click the second link here. If you click this one, it's going to open the same notebook, right? So this is the same, right? This one is in the cloud, and this one is within our local computer. Like I mentioned yesterday, you are welcome to use this, but keep in mind any changes that you make on the server, once you close it, it's gone. But if I'm running this one on the local computer, all the changes will be stored on your computer, so you won't lose all the your stuff. And first of all, I'm going to create an empty notebook and to show you some quick way how to create the interactive map using different protein backends. So for example, I just create import and click the Python 3. It's going to create an empty notebook. So as I showed you yesterday, if you want to create a notebook, it's pretty simple and easy. So just import leafmap, right? And then Alt Enter to execute this line. And so next I can just define a variable, for example, m equal to leafmap dot, okay, uppercase M, and then just hit tab tab, and then select, for example, map, parentheses, hit enter, and then M. So this one is the simple lowercase. Keep in mind, Python is case sensitive, so make sure you use the same case. So this is how we create an interactive map. And this is using behind the scene is using IPyLeaflet, but the leafmap also has another backend. It's called Folium. So let me show you on the left here. Get started, right? So that you can either use the IPyLeaflet. If you directly use this one, you will get something like this. But Folium protein backend, Folium is also a very popular open source package for interactive mapping. So what you need to do, you can, if you want to read the information here, right? So import Folium, leafmap.folium as leafmap. So if you go to, let me look at the repo. Can you still see the screen? Okay, so if you want to create, so this is one of those the default protein backend, but you can use the other one. So it's called import leafmap dot, and then if you hit tab, it's going to show you all the modules within the leafmap. So you can select this one. The Folium map is leafmap. Okay. So you only need to change the first line. The other two lines, you can stay the same. So if you right now copy and paste, hit Alt Enter, it's also going to create a map. Keep that in mind, this look pretty much very similar, but you will see some of the buttons are slightly different, right? So this is based on the Folium, but this one is based on IPyLeaflet. If you look at the right here, IPyLeaflet is way more flexible and powerful. So if you look at this one here, you can have all the icons. IPyLeaflet Folium, this one, you can only have this layer control. You cannot have the toolbar on the map in here. And so this one is relatively limited. I always recommend that you use the default IPyLeaflet protein backend. Don't use the Folium unless unless you are running in Google Colab. Okay, so Google Colab does not support IPyLeaflet yet, but it supports Folium. So if you're running in Google Colab, you want to by default use the Folium protein backend. So you can draw things, you can draw any rectangle, you can draw any circle or something like that. Okay, so this is just the simplest way that you can create the interactive map. And so next I'm going to show you using the example, right? So when you open the notebook, you always want to just import the leaf map and then create the map, and then you can start doing some analysis, or you can add more data layers. So next, let's go through the example here, and I'm going to pick up some of those that might be commonly used. For example, for the first one, if you click the first notebook, the introductory notebook, so this one gives you some information how to customize the map, for example, right? So the first two lines basically are still the same. So you can just hit one, and then we're going to create the interactive map, right? So you can create as many maps as you want. And by default, if you look at this map here, it's centered around the United States. You can also depends on the zoom level, right? So the zoom level basically indicates is it like zoom in or zoom out. So right now, this one is the default, the zoom level at 4. So if you zoom out, the number becomes smaller. So maybe 3, 2, 1, and that's it. So the zoom level is, I think, from 1 all the way to 20, something like that. So this is zoom level 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Something like this. If you want to customize the center, you can provide the parameter. For example, center equal to latitude and longitude. So if I run this one again, it's going to create a new map, but it's center at a different location, right? So this is in Europe. Even to figure out, for example, they say I want to create a map for China. You want to center around here. So basically, what you need to do is to get the coordinates for the map. So for example, right now this is the center, but you might not know exactly what the latitude and longitude. On the left side here, you can click the measurement. So if you click this one, and you can just click create new measurement. So you're going to create this one, and then you can click on the map. So you want to click somewhere at the center. So for example, I click here, and then a lower left corner here is going to show you this number. So for example, this is the latitude and this is the longitude, right? So it's 3. Or you can maybe just select and then Control C on your keyboard to copy this one, and then I can come here to paste this one. So just Control V, but make sure that you change this one to comma, right? So if you change to comma, and then if you run this one again, so by default, it's going to center around China. So this is how you can get to a specific location. Basically, when the map is created by default, it has a center location and also the zoom level. Next, let's see, I want to create a map directly center around Beijing, right? So you can zoom in to Beijing and somewhere like this, right? And what you need to do, again, you can just create a new measurement again, and then click somewhere center around Beijing, right? And I can just simply just copy this one, select Control C, and then come back to here, Control V, comma, right? You might need to change the zoom level. So I'm gonna guess it's probably much larger than 4. So you have a larger number, that means you zoom in, you can see more detail. Maybe change to 10, and let's take a look. Okay, so this is 10. If this like the area is too large, you can always change this one. Maybe right now let's change to 14, right? And you get a lot more detail. So this is how you can customize the map to a specific area if you want. So you can go, I think you can go all the way to maybe 18 or 20. Right, so right now you get a much more detail of the map. Okay, so this is how you can customize the center location and also how to customize the zoom level when you create a map. Next, I'm going to show you how you can customize some of the control, right? So if you by default, if you look at the default map here centered around the US, we have all these buttons, right? On the left upper left corner, you have the zoom in and zoom out. You can also have the full screen control. You also have the draw control. So this is how you can draw some things on the map. Also have the measure how to edit. I also how to measure, right? If you don't want this, sometimes if you just want the map to have some minimum number of controls, you don't want to have the map look too crowded, right? So you can remove those controls when you create the map. So what you can do is to basically, when you create a map, passing these parameters, right? So you can disable the draw control. You can also disable the measurement control, full screen control, and attribution control. Attribution control basically is the one at the lower right corner. And I'm going to show you here quickly, right? So if you execute this line, right now, you don't see those buttons here on the left side. You only see these just two buttons, and also the toolbar here at the upper right corner, right? You can also turn this one off if you want. So this one is named the toolbar control. So just comma, and then toolbar control equal to false. And then if you enter again, now that one is gone, so right? You don't see this one anymore. Again, you can also disable this control. For example, the zoom control. You can go to the order doesn't matter. You can just zoom control equal to false, and then you hit enter, right? So now you have just the map. You don't have anything else. So the attribution control is, I think, at the lower right corner here, right? So this is the one when you use any base map, you want to give some credits to the people or who they will provide base map for Google Map. But if you don't want to show that, you can also change this one to false. And then if you hit Alt Enter, now everything's gone. So now you only have to simply just the base map, right? So this is the way how you can customize the map. So it's very flexible. Depends on how you want the map to be to look. You can always change things. You can change the center, change the default settings just to customize the map. And so when the user get to your website, they can always directly see the things that you want them to see. So this is how you can customize the control. And the last one I'm going to show you here is how to customize the size, right? So directly right now within Jupyter Notebook, you can just see the map, the size is like this. But sometimes if it is too small, you can always change the size. So in this case, I can change the height and also the width. So all you need to do is just to pass in the parameters, right? So you can, the width right now is 800 pixels, right? So it doesn't take the full screen, the width of the entire notebook. And also the height right now is 450 pixels. You can always change this one to a larger number. For example, I can change to maybe 600. And then you hit Alt Enter. You see this must the width increase. You can also change the width. So usually you don't really need to change the width. We usually leave the width as default. It's going to take 100% of the column, but you might want to customize the height. So this one is particularly useful if you want to deploy the web app to the web. So sometimes by default it's only, I think, 600 pixels. So we can always increase the width maybe to 800 pixels. So that usually we take the full screen, right? So right now, if you see from this one here, it's much better. So the reason that we want to do that, maybe let me show you the example why we want to do this. So let me delete all of this, and let me just quickly here import leafmap, and then map equal to leafmap.map. Okay, so by default, right? So this is the map you're seeing here, but you can always deploy the map to the web. So yesterday I showed you, for example, how to use Voila. For example, if you go to the PowerPoint, if you click this one, it's going to take you to my web page. And again, I'm just going to simply go to the web page. As you can see, this one, the map you're going to see is taking almost the full screen, right? So this is how you can control the width. If you just use the default one, you might not have the entire the height. So one of the packages that you can deploy the web app is called Voila. I will probably cover this one on Friday, but right now let me show you how you can, for example, you develop the Jupyter Notebook, and eventually you want to deploy this one to the web so other people can access your map. And this is how you can do it very, very easily, right? So you can just use the Voila. You can test it how your website is going to look. So, right. So this is basically eventually is the web page other people want to see if you deploy this one to a server. And so right now you will see the width is the height is pretty small. So you can always increase this one to a little bit larger so that the map will take the full screen. So again, I'm going to go back here and then I can change, for example, height equal to 800 pixel. And if you execute again, right now it gets a little bit larger. And if you try the voila again, it will increase the height of the map. So this is how something that you might want to use if you are trying to deploy your Jupyter notebook to the web, right? So if you wait for a couple seconds, it's going to load up and you're going to see the larger map, right? So now you see this one from the top to the bottom, the map is much larger. So this is something that you can take it. That you can always use the full screen if you want. Okay, so this is how you can customize the size of the map and also customize what kind of controls you want to show on the map. So it depends on your specific applications. There are a lot of things you can customize. So this is about the first example. And the next one is about using base map. So let me open this one. I already saw some of those yesterday, but just to give you a quick recap, how you can change the base map. So again, we're going to create the interactive map. And so most of the things you can do using leafmap, you can use the toolbar here to change the base map. But everything that you can do in here using the toolbar, you can also write the source code to automate the process. So you don't have to actually use the toolbar if you don't want to. But for example, you can change the base map. I can change to any, select whatever data layers you want to use, right? So there are lots of base maps you can choose from. And let me see, you can use OpenStreetMap. You can also use, what else? Right, Toner. So there are lots of base maps you can choose from. You can also add your own space map. Yeah, if you're running this one on your local computer, you might not see this one yet because it depends on if you have the API key for this one or not. If you don't have this one, you might not see this one. But I'm going to show you later how to add the API key so that you can access the global planning imagery 3 to 5 meters at the global scales, monthly and also quarterly. But you can click any of those, right? So this is like 2019 Q1. You can also have to the latest one last month. So it'll be June 2021. So this one shows you the global monthly imagery. And then you can load it one directly onto the map without having to actually write any line of code, right? So this is a very high resolution. You can look at anywhere you want. So every month you'll be able to access the imagery. And probably I can look into here to see if, right? Very detailed, high resolution. So check it out if you want to see some the latest changes. Besides, you can use the toolbar to change the base map. You can also change the base map by yourself. So by default, for example, when you create a map, right? If you don't put anything, it'll be just using the Google map, right? But you can customize the default base map you want to use. I'm going to refer back to this one. So you can use the parameter Google map equal to hybrid. Hybrid means it's Google satellite with label. So let's run this one. Right, so you can see this one. Also, by the way, if you go to the toolbar and you go to the upper right corner, if you click the layers, so this is a control. You can control the layer, how to turn the layer on and off, right? So by default, the layer at the bottom is the OpenStreetMap. So OpenStreetMap, and when you create a map, we can add the Google satellite. You can also change the layer opacity. So if I slide this one, you are able to see the changes, right? So you can see this one. You can do that for any data layer. So this might be something useful if you want to see, compare the multiple base map layers, right? So you can zoom in and you can zoom out. So the next one here, you can also load the terrain layer. So this is the Google terrain, right? If you zoom in, if you see this one here, these are all the very high resolution DM using the Google base map, right? So you can see the contour line, see the base map. And if you want, I can also change the base map maybe to, I can also add another one. Let me show you here. Use the open topo map. So if you change this one here, this is the open topo map, right? So again, you can change this one. You can zoom in, you can zoom out. You can also change the data layer. So this shows you if you want to see multiple data layers, right? So if you zoom in, you're going to see a lot more details. Okay, so this is how you can add custom base map, right? You can use Google base map, you can use terrain, and there are lots of base map you can choose from. You can always use the toolbar to see from here. So the name comes from here. If you look at the name in here, right? Raw map, satellite, terrain, hybrid. You can get any of those base map, the name of the layer, and then just put into here. You should be able to add the base map. So besides create the map, you can also add the base map later. You can directly put the base map directly within the map class, or you can use the add base map function. So this one is basically 3 lines of code. And you can see the previous one is just 2 lines of code. It's the same, basically the same idea. Let me execute, right? So now if I come back to this one, you have 3 data layers. You have the Google satellite. You also have the base map, right? So you can also add other, for example, add base map. I can change to maybe open topo map, okay? And we hit Control Enter. You want to see, for example, right now we have the open base map. And if you see from the data layer here, right? And you can turn this one on and off. You can compare different data layers. So I can also use this one. I can add another one, Google Map equal to terrain. If you look at this one, right now we have the Google terrain, right? So if you see this one, you can zoom in, look at some of the details to compare different data layers, see what kind of the differences between multiple data layers, right? So you can zoom in, and let me stay here. And again, you can zoom in, you can zoom out, right? You can change the layer opacity of these different data layers. And lastly, you can also add some XYZ tile layers. So if you have some other data layer, for example, the web services, it can be either XYZ tile layer. It can also be WMS tile layer. So there are lots of those data layers online. You can just pass in the link and you'll be able to use that one directly within your map, right? So again, this one is just the Google map. It's the same as the one that we use to add the base map, but this one you can just pass in the URL. If you have some web map services, you can just use directly within here. And the last two one here is using, for example, this is the 1 meter resolution for the entire US. If you zoom in, you will see a lot more details. So these data are all free. You can download them for free, or you can just simply load the base map. Very, very high resolution. It's basically the base freely available data set. If you zoom in, you can see each individual tree. If you want to download the data, you can go to the website to download the data. But as you can see, you just need 1 line of code. You can load the very high resolution data onto the map without having to basically download the data. So this is kind of a quick way if you want to visualize some landscape changes. You can load the data using this way. The last one is basically the national wetlands inventory in the US. So if you zoom in and zoom out, lower right corner here, you can also see the legend. I'm going to show you later how to add a custom legend to the map, right? So you can zoom in, you can zoom out. So these are all the national wetlands for the entire US, right? So it's very detailed. You can also, again, turn the layer on and off. So if you zoom in, you can see more details. So those are all the polygon data set you can load onto the map. So you can see the changes. This is just for the US only. So you won't be able to see this one outside the US. Okay, so this is just give you some way that if you want to change the base map, if you want to load some data onto the map, you can use some of the functions in here to do that. And so the next one, I'm going to go to here. You can take, so I will not cover all the examples. I'm going to just skip some of those. You can take a look at it if you want later. And the next one we'll look at is number 6, legends. So as I show you in the early example, you can create a custom legend and then add that to the map. And we also have some built-in legends. So basically, after you develop the notebook, eventually, if you want to present this one to somebody, if you have some land use and land cover data sets, you might want to add a legend so people understand what each color represents. So in leafmap, we also have some built-in legends. So if you just execute this line, it's going to show you, for example, some of the common ones that I use, but you can also add some custom legends to the map. So in this case, I'm going to show you here. I'm adding, for example, the land use and land cover for the US, right? So this is the URL to the WMS web services, and you can check what kind of name you want to use for the data layer. And last one here, this is the line where you can add a legend. So just call the function add legend, and then you can use the built-in, for example, NLCD. So the NLCD is the National Land Cover Database for the US. So if you zoom in, you can zoom to see the detail. So lower right corner here, this shows you the color. So what each color represent. And this is very common. So if, for example, if you have a land use and land cover for China, you can also add a custom legend to the map directly at the lower right corner. If you use the one on the website, let me show you here. On the leafmap website, if you go to the website and then again click number 6, so the legend. So this one is based on volume. This one is not IPyLib. You can actually move this one around. So you can move the legend around the map if you want. But using IPyLib, you cannot move this one. So again, you can turn the layer on and off if you want. Okay, so this is how you can add the built-in legend, but you can also add a custom legend. So I'm going to show you here. It's actually very simple and easy to use. You just create the map, and you need to have two lists. The first one is the label, and the second one is the color. If you go back to the legend here, right? So we have the label. We also have the color. So the color is basically the color code on the left side using the so-called hex color code. 16进制的这个颜色 and so this one, for example, has 5 classes, and you define 5 colors, and then you just passing that one to the parameters here within this function. So let me quickly execute this one. All right, so this is just an example. You can create a custom legend and then add it to the map, right? So you have 5 colors, you also have 5 labels, and this is how you can use just one line of code. You can add a legend to the map, right? Very simple and easy to use. If you look at the lower right corner here, this is how you can edit one. And you can also edit, have a more complicated one. So you can also define a so-called a dictionary. So in Python, the dictionary is that you have a key, you also have a value. So the key here is the label, and this one is the color. So the color is the hex color code. So 6 digits. So the first 2 represent red, and then green, and then blue, right? And then eventually you can see, for example, that once you execute the map. So this one is exactly the same as the one I show you here. This one use the custom, the built-in legend, but the last one here use the custom, so you can change it to any color you want. For example, for the open water, right? So this is the color that's being used. You can easily just custom the water. You can change it, for example, to just simple blue color, right? So what you need to do is to come back to here, and then, but you need to understand what kind of blue color. So RGB, right? So the first two, if it is fully blue, that means you'll be FF, and then there will be no red and no green, so it'll be 0, 0, 0, 0, right? So this one is going to change the color to just blue color. And again, take a look at this one first, right? This is the color what we have right now, but you will run again, you are going to see this one right now change to blue color. It doesn't change the map, it just changes the legend. So the map comes from the web services. You cannot change this one, but you can certainly customize the color to make sure that it matches the color for your data layer. So this is how you can easily customize. For example, for the second one, I can change to maybe just totally black color. So if you want, I can come here. Black color means everything is just 0. So it'll be all, it'll be 6, 0, right? If we change this one again, now you see the second one is a black color. So this gives you a way that you can, it's very flexible. So you can change any color. You can also change the label, right? It's up to you how you want to change. For example, I can change maybe just to just water, right? And then for this one, I can change maybe to ice. So for ice, might be better to use white color. So white color will be FF, FF, FF. Shift Enter, and then, right? So you see this one, ice right now is just white color. Okay, so this is just a simple example how we can customize the legend so that you can add a legend to any map, especially if there's a land use, land cover. You probably want to add something like this on the map so they can show to other people so that they understand, for example, each color, what each color represents on the map. Okay, so this is for the legend, and the next one is about the color bar. So I'm going to show you the color bar before we get into white box. Okay, so let's execute this one first, and let's take a look at what the color bar actually represents. So now the color bar is actually the one here at the lower right corner. Let me see here, a color bar. Okay, so this one represents, for example, the elevation, right? So on the left side here, the lower right corner, this is the color bar that we just added to the map. And 0 means the elevation is 0 meter. Also, the 4,000 means 4,000 meter. So this one gives you to add the color bar to the map. It depends on, you can also customize the color. So this is the 5 color that we used to create this color bar, but you can change the customize the color to whatever color that to match the data layer. So for example, if I change to maybe red color, so red will be FF 0000, and then if you hit Alt Enter, right? So the last one is going to change to red color. You can customize this one. For example, for the blue color, it will be RGB, so it'll be 0000FF, and then if you Alt Enter, right? So you can cast. So this is also, you can add more colors if you want. So right now we have 5. You don't have to have 5. I can just maybe have just 2. It should work as well. So if I just Alt Enter, now I change this one from blue to green, right? So I can also change, have another one, maybe add another color, maybe green color. So green would be 00F00. Right, so very easy to customize. This is for the continuous. You can also create some categorical color bar if you want. So let me show you in here. This is categorical, right? So you have 5 colors, and it's going to subdivide into 5 categories. So depends. Sometimes if you, for example, if you have multiple categories, you can use this one to add a color bar just like this to the map. So again, on the left side here, represent the lowest number. Low right corner here represent the largest value of the data layer. This is just an example. The color bar does not necessarily correspond to the data layer. So depends on the data layer that you use. You can always change this one to whatever color bar that you can you want to use. So this is the color bar, but if you this one might not look very fancy, but I recently add another one. So let me show you here another one. This is another one. I think it's number 23. So you can also use the so-called color maps. This one actually is looks much better compared to the color bar that I just showed you. And let me show you here. XQ. For example, it also has some built-in color maps. So you have DEM, you have NDVI, you can have all kind of color bar, and you can also print that directly within the notebook in here. So let me show you what does it look like, right? So this is similar to what I show you here in that notebook, but you can also have NDVI for the NDVI, right? So from this one is based on Matplotlib. If you use Matplotlib, you might be familiar with this. So this one you can show, for example, from 0 all the way to green. The value change from 0 all the way to 1. You can also have terrain, right? You can also customize the value. This one by default is using 0 and 1, but you can change the minimum and the maximum. And I'm going to show you the example in a minute. But let me show you here, right? So you can also add a label, right? Everything that you're showing here, it can be added to the map very easily. You can change the font size. For example, you can change to a larger font size, maybe 20. You see right now the font size is much larger. And again, there are a lot of things to customize. Here, just show you some examples. If you want to add that, you can, for example, to add that one to the map. So lastly, let me show you this one, right? Let me delete this one here just to show you the comparison. Right. So very, very similar. You create the map and then you use this one called add color map. And you can just simply choose whatever color palette. And you can have the label, you can have the width and the height. You can also choose whether you want to be horizontal or vertical. You can also change the minimum and maximum. So basically, you just need one line of code, and then you can add the legend to the map, right? And then you can zoom in, you can zoom out. I can certainly change this one, for example. I can change it to maybe to 6,000. So it depends on the data. You can change this one, for example, right now change to 600. So you can zoom in. If you look at in here, in the data layer here in China. So this one might be a lot more higher. So you probably might need to go to maybe 8,000, right? Again, so right now the color bar does not correspond to the values in the WMS data layer. So just want to let you know, but it depends on if, for example, if the maximum value is 8,800. Besides the horizontal, you can also change to vertical. So by the way, let me compare this one to this one, right? Ooh. So it looks much better than this one, right? So this one it's a bit boring, and this one looks better because you can have the labels, you can also have the title, looks better, and you can also make it vertical. So if you look at this one here, this one right now you have the vertical toolbar. If you want, you can also have the transparent background. So if you, right now, this one is not transparent. So if you want to make it transparent, you can add. What to provide, you can always on your keyboard, Shift tab. It's going to bring up the tooltip, right? Shift tab, and then you should be able to see this one, right? So you'll be able to see what kind of parameters you can provide to this function. So anytime you just put your cursor within here and Shift tab, you should be able to see the help documentation. And in this case, we're going to use this parameter, transparent background equal to false. if you want, by default, it's not transparent, but if you want to make it transparent, I can come back to here, copy, and then paste, and then change this one to true. And let's take a look at this one. All right. So now you see this one, it becomes transparent. So you can, this is, if you want to make it transparent, you can apply the same thing to the one we use above here, right? So again, come here, Control V, paste, right? So now you have this one transparent. But because the color right now, if you look like this, might be better, but it might overlay on your data layer. So it might be a bit confusing. So anyway, so this is how you can customize all the data layers, how you can customize the legend and also the color bar and also the color map. And this will give you a quick visualization for the map that you want to produce. There are a lot more ways you can customize, but I just want to show you things you can do. And the last one here is to show you all the color maps available. So you can directly just use any name you want, right? So you can edit one directly to the map. So this one might take a while. I think it's more than 200 color options you can choose from, and not sure how long it's going to. Usually, it should not take this long. Okay, so here it is. So many color you can choose from. There are tons of things you can choose from. Either it's continuous or categorical, right? So you can just choose any name. If you find out the color that you want, you just need to remember the name. So for example, in this case, this is the terrain, right? You can also use the reverse terrain. You can also use, for example, summer color, whatever color. Let me see here. For example, GIST earth or GIST gray, for example. So once you get the name, I can come back to here. Let me remove this transparent background. And so what you need to do is change this one. So GIST earth, and then Alt Enter. You want to have the new one, like a new color bar. You can, for example, change this one to summer, right? You're going to have the new color bar like this. So all the name comes from this list. You can just pick up any name and then just change the one within the function here. Then you can add the new color mapped. Just one line of code, so very simple and easy to use. Okay, so this all about the color map, and it's 10 o'clock. Do you want to take a break for 5 minutes? And when we come back, we will start introducing white box. Okay, so let's take a break for 5 minutes.
好的，吴老师，那我们就休息5分钟。
Okay. 喂喂，能听见吗？
哦，可以听到吴老师，你继续
啊，行，那
讲吧。
我们继续。
嗯，好的。
OK，那接下来这个1个小时，我们就介绍一下这个 Whitebox。在这个 PowerPoint 里面，最后这几页有介绍有一些链接，大家感兴趣的话可以点击那个链接去看。然后呢，就是这个是一个开源的一个软件包，然后是加拿大的这个 John Lindsay 教授开发的。然后这个包现在目前包含有45060多个tool。它就是底层的话是用这个叫做Rust 的这个语言这个可能呃没就说不是传统的 GS 编程的语言，但是它是就是相当于从所有的底层全是用这个语言写的，非常的高效。然后如果你没有用过的话，建议你们下载一下试试速度非常非常的快。而且安装和那个就是不需要安装了，就是解压一下就可以了。然后一会给大家演示一下怎么用。如果你想它有好几个包，这个它就相当于在底层的，它是一个命令行形式的，就是说你要运行的话，就是要敲命令行。然后我在它这个基础上，我开发了几个界面，相当于你在 ArcGIS 里面也可以用，你在这个 Jupyter Notebook 的界面也可以用，也可以用 R，还可以用 Python。所以我就相当于在它的基础上，让大家更容易用它这个开源的软件包。说如果你们感兴趣，可以直接去看它那个的界面，比如说你可以打开它那个 GitHub 那个网站，你可以看它所有的源代码，这个也是开源的，所以所有东西你都可以如果你想学习的话，都可以去看。源代码都在这里。然后呢，我下面就给大家讲一下怎么用。比如说如果是想在这个 Jupyter 或者 Python，Jupyter 这个是比较容易的，就是有这个界面。Python 的话，你还是需要编程的。然后具体怎么用呢？你可以打开我这个刚才那个 leaf 那个example，然后直接打开第8个Whitebox。然后呢，如果你想要的话，你可以直接就是点击一下，然后我给你创建一下这个，直接点开这个地图，那个界面我已经把它
那个
集成。
吴老师打断一下，您是不是没有共享屏幕呀？
哦，等一下，我原来讲这么久啊，没这个屏幕没共享。喂，现在能看到吗？
哦，现在可以看到了，吴老师。
OK，那我要重新这个快过一下，就是说这个 Whitebox 的一些简介在那个 PowerPoint 里面这里有你们可以打开这个在这一页开始，然后这个是它Whitebox 的一个主的一个有一些网站，你可以看它的 GitHub， 包括它那个网址。然后呢，我是在它基础上开发了后面这几个包括它的Python 的软件包，包括 Jupyter， 还有这个 R 语言，包括 ArcGIS。然后一会给大家演示一下具体怎么用这几个。如果大家对 ArcGIS 熟悉的话或者我们先从这个 ArcGIS 开始讲起吧。你就到这个 PPT 这界面，然后你打开这个链接，然后你到这个 GitHub 这个我这个 GitHub 这个 repository， 然后在这里呢，你可以直接下载。所以你所需要做的就是把这个包下载到你这个电脑。所以我可以演示一下，我就点击这个，然后 download as a zip file， 然后就会把你下载到你这个本地。然后呢，你就把它解压一下就可以了。哎，我打开这个文件，是吧？然后你在这里下载完，你就是直接把它解压到你这个电脑这个路径。解压完了，这下面这个 toolbox 就是就是这个 toolbox。然后呢，你所需要做的，这个是支持这个 ArcGIS ArcMap。说如果你是用 ArcMap 的话，最新的版本不支持，你可以 点击这个右边这里有个 release， 就是它的版本你可以下载这个旧一点的版本，是可以用 ArcMap 的。你下载这个 1.4 这里，1.4这里，然后你点击一下这个这里可以下载这个 zip file， 现在下载这个压缩包到你电脑，然后你就可以加到那个 ArcMap。最新的这个版本是用 ArcGIS Pro 才可以的。然后后面我给大家看一下，就是具体怎么把它弄进来，弄到你 ArcMap。你打开这个 ArcGIS Pro 之后然后可以创建一个新的一个 project。有这 project 之后呢，你就可以加载你这个文件夹。那个文件夹就是我们刚才已经下载解压那个文件夹，然后我可以点一下嘛，比如说点击你这个 directory， 然后右键add folder connection， 就是连接刚才我们下载那个文档，说下载文件夹，然后呢找到我们刚才那个下载的这个，然后点击 OK。OK 之后，你这里就可以看了，这个整个 toolbox 就在这里了。然后你可以点击一打开，第一次打开的话可能会需要一些时间，因为它里面有很多个460多个这个 toolbox， 它每个它又都产生一个文件，所以第一次打开可能会久一些。然后你再回来这里看的话，这个有时候可能需要好几分钟，因为它相当于就是读取你这个 toolbox 里面这个源代码，然后创建这个 tool。如果你想看的话，其实你可以用这个可以打开看它里面这个 toolbox 就是一个 Python 的一个 toolbox， 你可以打开看它的源代码的。比如说我可以打开这个 Visual Studio Code，OK，已经出来了，在右边这里。我再先给你看一下这个源代码是怎么看的。你可以 Open Visual Studio Code 然后打开之后，然后你点击一下这个，其实它这里面其实就是一个文本文件，只是说它是一个Python 的 toolbox， 所以你可以看它里面这些代码是什么样的。这就是我用一些那个 Python 然后自动生成的一个 toolbox 这是一个非常长的，你可以看这个里面有大概30几万的行代码，36万行代码是一个非常长的一个文件。然后呢，你点开之后，现在右边这里就出来这些 toolbox 了，你可以看，是吧？每个 tool set 里面都有很多个 tool， 可以做水文分析可以做 GS 也还可以处理一些 LiDAR， 包括一些河流网络这些很多很多这个这个处理工具。然后这个文件夹里面呢，还有一些例子的数据，比如说可以打开这个，然后我可以随便加一个，比如说加一个 DM 到这个这个图上，然后我把它是吧？这就是一个一个试验的一个数据。比如说这是一个 DM， 你也是要填充洼地或者是你需要提取那些 watershed或者是你要提取那些河流的网络什么的。比如说你可以打开这个 hydrological analysis 来，然后右边这里你可以比如说 field depression 你要填这个洼地，这个 DM 里面有很多那些depression， 你要把那些洼地填了，然后你就在这里不用闲下，就相当于这个 toolbox 跟那个ArcGIS 里面那个 toolbox 的用法是一样的，基本上没啥差别，但是它的速度非常快，而且它有很多工具是 ArcGIS toolbox 里面所没有的。然后还有另外一个优势就是它是开源的，所以所有的东西你都看它的源代码。如果你想学习它的源代码的话这是可以很容易的，就是看它那算法到底是怎么写的。然后比如说这个 field 你可以取个名字，然后就 save， 然后你就点一下运行就行了一般的话这个是第一次的话可能会稍微久一点，但是你看已经运行已经完了，然后你可以 open details 你这个是保存到哪个文件，然后你可以直接把你这个加载进来，就刚才那个图层，然后 my data 是吧？右键可以拖拽过来，然后你需要的话可以比如说imagery functions， 然后你可以比如说创建一个 DM 这个shaded relief， 点一下这个现在这个是已经填充完洼地的，你还可以做很多东西，你可以提取那些比如说水的流向啊，还有那些catchment 相当于这个整个集水区域啊各种都可以，所以里面有非常非常多的工具大家可以感兴趣的可以看，比如说水文分析，还可以有很多LiDAR 的工具，你可以下来看看，可以创建这个 LiDAR 的这个 DSM Hillshade 或者是 Histogram 很多很多工具，这些是 ArcGIS 里面所没有的而且这些所有的代码都是开源的，大家可以去了解一下。如果你是用这个R 语言的话，也有这个 R 的包如果你是用 QGIS 的话，也有 QGIS 这个这个 plugin， 所以取决于你对你哪个你用的比较舒服，或者你喜欢的哪语言都有，都每个都有的。所以下面呢就给大家介绍一下用怎么在 Jupyter 里面用，就是说我们已经介绍了这个 leafmap 里面其实有它那个那个工具工具条里面已经有了这个，所以你可以打开这个第8个，然后点击这个 white box 这个例子，然后同样的你就是创建导入这个 library， 然后你就创建这个地图就行了所以创建之完呢，你就可以比如说第二行的这个按钮呢，这个就是这个 toolbox， 所以点击一下，然后这个就出来了。这个呢就跟你在 ArcGIS toolbox 里面看到是一样的，它的工具是一样的，就相当于这个 toolbox 里面有不同的这个子类别，每个类别里面有那个工具，所以你看一下左边这里总共你看那个数字468个tools， 这就相当于我把开发的这个界面，然后我把这个界面集成到这个这个 leafmap 这个包里面，所以你不再需要去安装别的包，就是一次就完成了，然后你可以直接用这些界面可以做任何分析。同样的道理，比如说刚才我们是用了做了这个水文分析，然后填着 DM， 它这里有很多工具，如果你不知道那个名字的话，你可以直接搜索，比如说field depression， 然后你看你就搜索一下，右边这里就出来了，然后比如说 field depression， 然后点完了，这里你就可以看这个这个工具的所有的参数。我刚才已经说了，这所有东西都是开源的，所以每个工具呢都可以看它的源代码。你可以点击右上角这里有个 View Code， 就是查看这个源代码。你点击一下，它会直接打开，就是navigate 到它那个源代码，所以你就看一下，就是这个工具到底具体背后的代码是怎么样的。如果是 ArcGIS 的话，你是看不到源代码的，所以 ArcGIS 所有的工具都是closed source 是闭源的如果你想学习那个算法，你其实学不到什么东西。如果那个工具出错了你有可能你也解决不了，你就但是如果你能有源代码自己看，你读一读，你就知道有时候出问题了到底出在哪里，你可以自己修改，你可以把那个问题给解决了。所以就是对那些对算法有感兴趣的，你可以去了解这些算法。然后同样的，这个就跟我们刚才在 ArcGIS 里面一样，是吧？你可以选一下，然后比如说选一下这个数据。我刚才这个数据呢是在哪里？在 Downloads， 然后这个Whitebox Tools、Whitebox Test Data 是吧 ？DM， 所以就选一个 DM Select 是吧？这个就选择你输入哪个数据，然后呢，我可以把这个数据保存的结果想保存到哪里随便起个名字，同样的 field TIF， 然后 select， 相当于你就是输入的数据，然后输出，这里这些参数你可以调，然后你也可以只用这个默认，然后你只需要点一下这个运行你看基本上 0.2 秒就完成了那个 DM， 你可以处理其他的各种其他数据都可以，弄完那个东西你可以把它加载到 ArcGIS 或者其他的这个软件都可以，就相当于我刚才已经运行完了，这个数据是保存在我这个下载这个文档来说，就这个，然后这个文件 那你就可以把它，你想要的话就可以把它加载到 ArcGIS 或者其他的。相当于就是说你这个有不同的语言你可以选择，然后这结果都是一样的，就是运行这个 toolbox 除了这个呢，你也可以单独的，这个是集成在这个Whitebox 是已经集成在这个地图的界面，比如说我可以把它放大，是吧？这个还在这里，我可以把它关了。你如果需要，你可以再重新再打开，是吧？然后你可以浏览这些工具干嘛的？这是集成在这个图形界面里面。如果你是你不需要这地图的话，你也可以直接用这个，就是相当于调用这个函数，就是这个包叫做 Whitebox GUI， 就是它这个界面，然后 Doc Show 就相当于就是把这个图形界面给显示出来，所以你可以直接显示在这里。如果你不需要地图的话，跟你刚才这个是一样的道理的，是吧？就只是把它分离出来而已。然后这个呢，就是可以这样用。另外一个呢，如果你还有一个就是它有不同的这个模式你可以这样显示。你另外一种可以显示出一个树状的这个结构，是吧？一样的，这个就是都同样也是468个，但是这个呢，就是你可以点这个加号，它的工具出来，然后你点其中任何一个，右边这里就出来这些一样的这些选择的这个参数，然后同样的你可以搜索一些工具在这里，然后比如说你要搜索一些跟河流相关的，比如说 stream， 是吧？你就搜索一下河流。然后你就看出来我们这些有哪几个有哪些跟河流相关的这个工具你可以可以用呢？或者就是说你要提取这个 watershed， 或者就是说做这些水文的分析，好几个，你看这里有2个watershed相关的工具，然后你只需要点一下右边这里就会出来这些相关的这个东西，也可以比如说 flow， 是吧？水文的flow direction 或者是 flow accumulation。有很多工具你可以用的，然后你去选一下，是吧？然后你就可以在这里面，你可以看代码，你可以run这个工具，你还可以 import。所以有一个好处就是说，这些是用界面。如果你最后你有很多数据要处理，比如说你的 DM 你有几百个，你想一次弄的话，你就可以写一个循环，然后用这循环就可以自动处理的。所以比如说我有些项目就3000个 DM， 你不可能就是用这个界面点那么几千次来去处理这个数据，肯定就是用代码让自动循环的。所以这里 import 这个按钮呢，就是可以让你根据你的图形界面，然后你可以看把那个这个图形界面运行的这个背后这些代码可以直接生成。我再重新弄一次这个，比如说用刚才这个，然后我选一下这个刚才这个，比如说 depression。填这个洼地的，然后你选一下这个同样的我选一下我刚才用的这个数据，比如说在下载文件夹这个，然后 test data， 然后 DM 是吧？同样的我这个可以设置这个要保存的数据，比如说 field2.tif。选完这个之后呢，你就可以点一下这个 import button 这个 import button。它会自动在你这个工具箱下面，这里会新生成这几行代码。这几行代码就是我用这界面运行，跟你这个用代码就背后这个界面运行背后就是调用这些代码的。所以比如说我 run 一下这个，你看它结果出来了。我同样这个也可以直接 run 这个代码。这个这个在 Windows 下你要加一个 R， 不然的话就是你运行不了。truncate escape， 后面这里也有一个，就是 Python 的话，如果你在 R 里面这个反斜杠这个路径的话，你是要双反斜杠或者就是正斜杠，要不你就在前面加个 R， 不然的话就运行不了的，是吧？这个就这样就出来了。然后你这里就可以看你看这几秒，这个就跟上面这里是一样的道理，所以这个就是你怎么运行。同样的，你可以用在这里也一样的，你在这里面也可以用这个 import 这个按钮，但是你要先把那些参数设好之后才能 import。如果你知道这个怎么弄之后呢，你不管你是100个文件或者1000个都没所谓的，就是可以写个循环，然后一个 loop 就可以一下子处理。 这就是说这个编程，如果你会一种语言，你会一些基本的东西会给你这个学习和工作带来很多方便的，就是很多可以自动化的，特别是你说重复性的劳动如果你在做哪些项目或者什么一旦你在做一些东西，你老是在不停的重复肯定是有方法能帮你自动化的，就是你要去自己找出到时你怎么把它那个步骤一个一个分成几个小步骤，然后每个步骤用一定的这个代码把它运行，把它完成以后的话你就是做某些东西，一旦你遇到这种情况用开动脑筋想一想我怎么节省时间，不用老是做重复性的劳动。像比如说这个现在是这个 toolbox 这个包呢，你看这里面468个工具，我不可能每个工具都有一个界面，我不可能为每个工具去单独的设计这个界面，那基本上就是一个很繁琐的一个过程。所有的工具其实都是自动化的，就是提取它的参数，然后知道它参数是哪种类型，然后自动把这个界面给搭建起来。如果你对这个感兴趣的话，你可以去看我那些包背后的代码是这个包是怎么开发出来的，包括这个还有这个 QGIS。所以根据大家这个对哪种语言比较熟悉，大家可以去下载相关的这个非常多的工具，所以而且都是免费的而且你可以就是直接在浏览器运行，你可以基本上不需要下载任何东西。如果你到这个 PPT 里面，我再重新这里，你可以到这个 GitHub 这个repository 点开这个，然后点一下这个，这里有个这个图标，你直接点一下这个 Open in Google Colab， 然后你点一下之后呢，它就直接就是用 Google Colab 打开，然后你就可以在这里运行了。然后比如说你很多数据是保存在 Google Drive 里面，你可以直接就这个要sign in之后才能运行的话，你就登录你那个 Google 的账户，然后你去运行一下，这里就出来了。所以相当于就是只在浏览器运行，不需要在你电脑装任何东西，你也可以做很多空间分析，或者做一些 LiDAR 或者是遥感的一些数据处理。那大家后面有时间可以去探索一下。好吧，这就是大概的，就是用这个怎么用这个Whitebox。我不小心把这个给关掉了，那我重新看一下。然后接下来时间呢，我们就重新回到刚才的这个 leafmap， 介绍一些其他的功能，然后希望对大家能有所帮助我要重新打开一下这个关掉，重新打开一下。这个电脑有点慢了，现在没反应了。Conda activate Conda activate 0。Jupyter Notebook。所以我们刚才就是讲到了第1到第8，然后后面呢就是剩下半个小时，我们就挑几个可能对大家比较有用的这个这个例子。然后我们可以先看这个第9个CSV to points， 这个呢是怎么把一个 CSV， 如果你有经纬度的坐标，然后怎么把这个转成 一个数据，然后加载到这个图层里面。比如说，我可以用这个你可以直接用 import leafmap 就行了。这个其实不需要这么长的。这个是因为在那个网站那个文档那个leafmap.org 的时候是必须要用这个，不然的Folium 是不支持这个功能的。所以你如果是 import leafmap，证明就是说我们是要用这个 IPyLeaf 的这个plotting 这个 backend， 然后你导入一下，可以把它转成比如说Pandas Data Frame。And after that, you can simply just use the function add XY layer, XY data, and you can pass in the CSV. So this is the CSV we're using, and it has information about the latitude and also longitude, also the population. So you need to just specify which column represents X, which column represents Y, and then you can also pass in the data layer. So for example, basically, you can use just one line of code to add the data layer to the map. This one has 1,249 points, so it might take a while, but you see, it's just a couple of seconds. Then you can have the map, interactive map, loading the data directly from your CSV. So you create the map and then you just add the XY data layer. That's it. You can also convert the CSV to a shape file. For example, this is the data, the CSV we're using. So if you want, I can simply just, I think this one is also within the data directory. So if you go to the downloads directory under the leaf map, examples, data, and you can just open the CSV, right? So this is the CSV that we use to load the data onto the map. But you can also convert the CSV directly to a shape file if you want, right? So this one has 5 columns and the latitude and longitude. So what you can do is to call the function directly. So within here, you can use the function CSV to SHP, right? So you can set the output directory where you want to save the file, and you just need to execute. So it's going to download the CSV and then convert that one to a shape file. So now if we open the downloads directory, right? So we have the CSV, but we also have the shape file. So give you a way to convert the data if needed. And then you can use this one to load it onto the map to, for example, ArcGIS if you want, right? So let me open ArcGIS. And I can also simply drag the data layer to the map if I want. So I can put this one. All right, so you can also have all the points. It'll give you a way to easily convert a CSV to vector data points just when using one line of code. You can also convert to Geojson, right? Besides CSV to shapefile, you can also CSV to Geojson. And let me execute this one. And then if you come back to the downloads directory, now you should be able to see the Geojson. Oops. It is somewhere here. Let me close this one. Okay, so you see this one here, the Geojson. So this is the last line that we will just execute. And okay, so this is a simple example to convert a CSV to vector data format, and so they can use in other program if you want. And what else? Next one I'm going to show you is about the link maps. This one is also very useful, especially if you want to. If you have multiple maps, you want to use them all together, but they're linked. So when you zoom in and zoom out a specific map, you also zoom in and zoom out the other one. So quickly, let me delete this too, and let me show you what it looks like. So again, you can import leaf map, and then you can simply pass in, for example, what kind of data layer you want, and then use the function link maps. How many rows and how many columns do you want, and also the width and height of each one. So for example, for this one, we are creating a map with 1 row, 2 columns. So 1 row means like the horizontal, we have 1 and you have 2 columns. So now if you see, for example, if I move the map of one of those, it's going to zoom in and zoom out the other one, right? So this is pretty useful if you want to link the 2 maps together. So this is one way you can do that easily. Again, just 1 line of code, very easy to do. Specify how many lines, rows and column if you want. Similarly, you can have this, right? You can zoom in, you can zoom out. You can customize, for example, the height, right? So for this one is 400 pixels. If you want it to be longer, you can maybe have 500 pixels, and it's going to be a bit longer, right? The last one, besides 1 row and 2 columns, you can have as many rows as many columns if you want, right? So this one here has 4 rows and 4 columns. This one is the length using length cover. So if you have if you classify the imagery, and then after that you want to show the data layer on the map, you can have multiple maps together, right? If you zoom in and zoom out, you can see the changes. For example, 1. So this is from 2001, 2006, 11, and 2016. So multiple years, and you can see the changes. For example, here, so you can see the changes more urban expansion, right? So in 2001, this is still a lot of those agriculture, but now has been converted to urban area, right? The red color represent urban area. So this is how you can easily create a map with multiple maps linked together. And the next one is about split panel map. I think I already showed you this one previously, but we use the toolbar. So we click toolbar and then we create the split panel map. But you can also do that easily using source code, right? So just like something like this. Let me delete this one. Again, you just need to import, and then you can just call the function split panel map, and then passing the left and right, right? So for the split panel map, you have 2 data layers, the one on the left and also the one on the right. So this is something like this, right? Very easy to create. You can change it, for example, from hybrid, you can change to terrain or any other base map, but you can also pass in your custom XY data layer. So it depends on which one you wanna use. You can also customize the zoom control. In this case, if you don't need this one, you can hide the zoom control. So the second example here, we actually change this one to false, and then you don't have the zoom control anymore. Again, you can zoom, you can slide through if you want. Also, you can change, for example, length use length cover. Again, this is the length use length cover compared to data layer. So from 2001 to 2016, right? So if you zoom in, like slide through, right? So this is right now, this is 2001, and this is 2016. So you can see the changes, right? You can see the urban area grew a lot, but you can also see the reservoir. So the water actually shrinks a little bit, right? So this is pretty useful if you need to visualize the changes on the landscape using different data layers. Okay, so this is for the the split panel map, and let's look at the next one. Geopandas. So some of those, if you already installed Geopandas on your computer, you can use this one. So if you are not familiar with that, it's fine as well. So for example, Geopandas is a very popular open source Python package for dealing with vector data. Very, very powerful. So this is something if you want to use, you can certainly do that. Let me import the leafmap, and also, so Geopandas can read any Geojson or shape file or pretty much any vector format, right? So once you read this one, you can directly add the Geodata Frame to the map. So what we do here, we create a map, and then we use the function add GDF, and then you just passing the GDF and what kind of the layer name you want to use, right? So you want to take just a couple of seconds, just like this, right? So you can create a map easily, create a base map, and you add the geodata frame to the map. Lower right corner here, you have the information dialog where you can see when you hover your mouse, you will see which one is actually being selected, right? So you can zoom in, you can zoom out pretty nicely. You can also convert to other data layer if you want. For example, let's try this one. Add. So this one is for the data for the New York City, and just a couple polygons. You can just directly use those and then add that one to the map, right? So just like this, you can customize the color. So this is basically using the random color. If you see my mouse hover, you see the color changes. Lower right corner here, you can see which polygon is being selected. Again, basically just one line of code in here, right? So add GDF, and then the layer name you want to use, the color you want to fill the color. So red, green, and blue, you can change to any color if you want. And also you can turn the data layer on and off. If you click here, right? So Geopandas supports so many vector data format, pretty much all the vector format. Commonly used one, you can use Geopandas to open, and then you can use the leafmap function at GDF to load the data to the map easily. And the next one I'm going to show you here is the OpenStreetMap. Okay, Open is the and one thing that you can use the leafmap is to download vector data to your computer. So if you're looking for vector data for a specific area, you can probably find something on OpenStreetMap. So for example, let's open this one, and you can specify any location you want, and then you can directly load the data. You can also download the data directly to your computer. So in this case, we are trying to use create a map, and then we're going to add OSM. So OSM represent OpenStreetMap, and then from geocode. So geocode basically you can put in any source string, and then so for example, let me just execute this one. OSM is not installed. So let me copy this one, and so because this one is optional dependency, so it's not installed by default. And if you encounter this error message, you can go open Anaconda Prompt. Again, I'm going to show you here. Anaconda activate Geo, and then you can just directly pip install OSMNX. It might take a couple seconds to install the package, and then we can just restart the kernel to use this function. So, okay, almost finished. Okay, it's done. Then we can restart the kernel, and we can take a look. So some of those packages depends on Geopandas. Sometimes it might be a bit challenging to get it work. Okay, so it works. And this is the polygon that you can use. So you can directly load the data onto the map. 我这个用这个中文说一下，就是说这个好处呢，就是说你不管是美国的、中国的或者全球任何地方，有时候呢比如说你有什么作业或者你什么项目需要用到一些数据啊，比如说如果你在国内某个国内我不知道能不能直接用。但是这个数据呢，这上面有的，你都可以把它下载下来，所以平时你就不用到处找数据啊，我要下载这个道路的数据啊，我要下载这个水的数据，或者哪些 polygon 或者是地名啊，所有东西你都可以直接用 leafmap， 你可以直接把它下载到你电脑 但是就是说你不能一下子处理很大区域的数据，小的话一般都没问题的，所以就是可以很方便的就一行代码，你就可以把那个数据下载下来。比如说这个呢是下载这个芝加哥的这个数据，你就点一下，然后它会自动就把那个 data 把那数据漏到你的电脑，然后你可以用这图层，你可以显示或者关掉，然后这个里面所有的属性也会同时被下载下来，你可以点一下这个，是吧？我这里应该有一个是国内的这个例子，除了这个边界呢，这就是相当于一个城市的这个边界你也可以下载一些建筑物或者房子或者是河流任何东西在 OpenStreetMap 上面有的，你都可以就是很方便的，就是2、3行代码，你就把那个数据给弄下来。比如说这是一些房子的数据，你看，现在你看这个我这个图层呢，我把它隐藏了，这个跟底图完全对得上了。后面这个底图呢，就是 OpenStreetMap， 就是它的这个数据的这个来源。现在你就是从那个底图里面把这个提取出来，然后生成这个矢量的这个数据你可以把这个数据直接download到你这个电脑。除了刚才那个呢，我给你看看这个，还可以数据，比如说可以下载一些 POI， 比如说你在国内有一些酒吧有一些银行有些学校，它所有数据都是可以下载的。你这个每个数据点比如说这个是下载整个纽约市的这个酒吧，你看就是2、3行代码你就不用到处找数据到哪里下载到哪个地方能有这个数据你需要数据的时候，你就想一想 OpenStreetMap 上有没有这些数据，我可以用的。然后除了纽约，比如说建筑或者一些居民屋或者一些商业的这些 building 它每个 polygon 它都有它那个属性，然后你可以根据那个属性做一些 filter， 相当于一些过滤，可以选出你所需要的这些数据。然后一会给大家演示一下，应该是有一个是北京的这个，比如说你做北京的，你想要提取北京那些房子，你看这个只是纽约市的这个 building， 你看直接每个 polygon 很详细的，每个你可以都把它下载下来除了这个房子呢，水体或者是树木或者各种都基本上 OpenStreetMap 上面有的数据，你就可以把它下载下来。比如说，你看，你如果对湖水或者什么感兴趣，你看，这个是提取它那些河那个湖的这个边界，整个 polygon，你说你可以是吧？除了这个呢，另外一个我看这个是对，这个是北京的。比如说我想提取北京这个某个中心点，然后把它所有的数据，比如说我要提取它的房子还要提取它的水，然后你可以设一个 buffer， 比如说buffer 1000米的，比如说这个就是北京的我可以把它稍微放大一下，给大家可以看一下。那有点说明的就是说，它这个数据可能不一定符合国内的规范，这就是 OpenStreetMap， 就是大家贡献的，就是这些不是任何公司所有的，这就是大家所有人都可以上面贡献的这个数据。你看，这就是里面所有的，或者说包括水，你说你点一下这个，然后如果你想要的话，相当于这个底图里面你看到的任何东西，你都可以把它提出来，然后下载成矢量的格式存到你电脑。然后以后如果你需要找数据，就先去看看这个 OpenStreetMap 上面有没有，只要它上面有的你就不用到处找了，就直接可以1、2行代码就可以把整个数据这个 polygon 可以下载下来，而且它还有很多属性的，比如说每个 polygon 它有非常多的属性，当然不是每个属性它都有值的，有些很多都是none，就相当于没有值的，但是有一些应该是有的，比如说你点一下这个，对吧？有一些，比如说这个点的这个位置，国内的数据一般相对的那个 更新的没有那么全，因为它这个国内人用不了的话，也很少人去贡献。但是如果你只是其他国家的数据很全的，它那些信息属性啊，就是非常全面的，所以大家看看有需要的可以去用一用。然后还有另外一个就是可以很方便的，比如说你对某个区域感兴趣，比如说我就对这个区域感兴趣，你就先把你这个图呢放大到某个地方，然后只需要运行这个函数 add OSM from view 就相当于你这个当前的地图这个大小，这个地图这个视图这个范围，你可以放大到移动这地图到任何地方。然后呢，你可以比如说我想要这个地图里面我要下载这个我当前这个视图的所有的这个酒吧的位置，比如说现在这个还有下载它这个比如说所有的房子，然后就是相当于一行代码。这取决于你这个位置的这个范围这个大小。如果你范围很大的话，可能时间要久一点，但是你小的话，应该已经很快。你看，这全部就下载下来，这个所有的 polygon， 每一个，你看右边这里路名然后是哪个地方都有，对吧？你说这个，它这个信息相对的说会多一点，比如说那个名字以前的名字building 的这个 name 哪一年建的，哪一年开始的，你看很多很多详细的信息。所以对那所有的这个整个领域做，然后呢，我把它转成一个 Geodata Frame 你可以在里面做。喂喂，能听见吗？
喂，吴老师能听到？刚才您那边没声音啊。
哦，对，我刚刚掉线了，我又回来了。
好。
我就接着讲我刚才这个例子就最后的话，你可以，比如说你可以把你OSM 下载那个 OpenStreetMap 的数据转成一个 Geodata Frame，然后同样的，你这里可以看那些属性表包括有多少行多少列的，所以就是说这个就相对比较实用一点。如果有同学对这个对这数据有需求的，想要找数据的可以用这个 leafmap 去下载全球任何地方的矢量数据。然后我看还有5分钟，最后给大家介绍这个最后一个这个 heat map， 相当于这个是那个热度图
吴老师，您把那个屏幕共享一下。
OK。能看见吗？
可以看到了，可以看到了。
好吧，那最后再讲一下这个最后一个例子，比如说这个 heat map 就是那个热图24，然后呢，这个好处呢就是说，如果有时候你有些点的数据，你要创建一个 cluster， 你就可以用这个很方便的，比如说我们还是用刚才同样的这个数据，用这个美国这个或者全球的这个城市也可以，美国的城市，然后这个呢就是它那个你要定义你这个路径，然后呢。我把这个运行一下，大家先看一下这个效果，对吧？这就相当于你有一些点的这个数据，美国每个城市的，然后你可以以它那个，比如说人口，比如说这个是你的值，相当于你有这些点，然后这个点呢有个人口，这个人口越多了，那你的值就越高嘛。然后你可以看它就相当于这个城市的这些 cluster 是在哪里，你这个缩小放大的话就变成这样。但是这个好像看的没那么好，你可以看一下用这个。用 iPad 用那个 Volume 的这个稍微好看一点，是吧？这相当于就是你可以看这个热力图，就是代表这个城市的，相当于就是这个 CSV， 然后就是用一行代码，这指你这个输入的这个路径就是 CSV， 然后这 CSV 里面有这个精度，有这个纬度，包括有这个人口的这个数据，就相当于有这个3类这个数据，然后呢，你就可以用这个 CSV 创建一下这个热力图，是吧？可以放大，现在代表这城市。 纽约那个人口很高嘛，你看就是它的颜色会渐变的。如果你缩小的话，它会重新创建的，包括整个美国，你可以用全球的数据是一样道理。比如说我们把这个换成整个cities， 换成全球的这个数据，然后我们再乱一下这个就是全球人口的这个热力图了。你看这个是现在全美国嘛，你可以换到这个中国，对吧？你可以看一下，比如说中国大概那些人口密集在哪个地方？比如说像这里嘛，你看这里应该是重庆是吧？四川、广东、广州是吧？就每个点就代表它有那个人口的这个值，所以就是相当于一行代码，你就可以创建很方便的。最后你还可以把这个图，比如说你这个弄完之后呢，你可以把这个图保存成 HTML， 然后你保存成 HTML 之后呢，你这个图就是就是说你可以放到网页，然后可以打开的，所以就相当于很方便的，就一行代码。你可以比如说这个图我们这个创建完了嘛，我们想把这个图保存下来，你可以直接刚才我们这个变量是这个叫做 m， 然后你可以用一个叫做 m.to HTML， 你看你 m2 之后，然后 to HTML， 然后你就可以设这个这个路径。我们可以直接，比如说这个就是heatmap.html， 然后你就是 enter 一下，它就帮你把这个保存成一个 HTML 这个文件，然后你就可以这个也可以放到那个网页，比如说这个应该是保存在我们这个 notebook 的这个当前的这个文件夹，是吧？你就往下拉，就刚才这个嘛，这就是我们保存的这个地图，然后你可以打开一下，你看这个现在就是全屏的。这个就是一个简单的 HTML 文件，你可以把这个 HTML 放到你的网站或者服务器，然后你就可以把那个链接发给大家发给别人，别人就可以很方便的，就是可以浏览这个地图了。所以这就是一个很快捷的方式。如果你想通过这个 leafmap 创建一些地图，然后最后你想把这个地图分享给大家就是一行代码，你就把它保存成HTML 就行了。除了这个呢，还有很多其他你可以做的，比如说。只要是任何这个地图你已经创建好了，那你就是用这个函数 to HTML， 然后输入这个你要存的这个文件名就可以了非常方便。当然你可以加载这些其他的图层或者你说你可以换别的图层都可以。比如说我现在想把这个换成 Google Map 或者其他都可以的。比如说我可以弄这个 Google Map 等于比如说。地形 terrain 是吧？你看这个就换了这个底图了嘛，然后你看这个 heat map 是吧？同样的，你再运行一次，重新保存一下这个 HTML， 然后我再回去这里再打开一下，或者你刷新一下，是吧？这个就已经换了，所以就很多方式你可以自定义这个图，你到底那个地图你想它长成什么样子。你就是制定完之后，然后把它保存一下发给别人别人就可以打开了，所以就不需要重新去运行那些代码什么的。好吧，那个时间差不多了，就大概讲这些例子，然后剩下其他人呢，大家感兴趣的可以去看一看。有一些因为我们昨天已经稍微介绍过，比如说那个planning image 就是全球3到5米的那些然后如果想进一步后面的例子会一直增加的。如果大家感兴趣，可以关注这个 GitHub 那个网页，然后大概就是今天介绍这个 leafmap 和那个 whitebox 明天开始就是讲这个 Works Engine， 所以大家先把那个账号申请好，然后明天就可以跟着操作。
感谢吴老师精彩的报告，然后吴老师辛苦了。
好，行，那就先这样大家如果有问题的，可以发到那个微信那个群里面，然后希望明天我们开始讲这个 Works Engine。
行，那吴老师，我们今天就到这儿，要不
？OK，那就先这样。
好，吴老师再见。